So this is something that I think a lot of men, a lot of black men in particular, go through, being called corny by women, and then coming back to have those same women beg them for their attention, their time. And at that point, you have to make a decision if you want to give them the time of day or not. So let's get into the video.
You're not going to find your man at AfroTech because everyone just comes here and stares at each other. So come here for the jobs, come here for the networking, come here for the free drinks, but don't come here thinking you're going to leave with a man or anything like that. Like, it's a staring competition.
I debated making this video, but I'm making this video as a PSA for the girls who are going to AfroTech. So I've been to AfroTech a few times in the past. I don't really go anymore because I don't want to work in tech anymore. But I do want to give a word of advice for the girls who are in tech and who are not in tech, who are going to AfroTech to only or purposely go and find a man. Does anyone remember the movie 21 Jump Street, the remake, not the TV show, in which there was this scene in which they observed that, like, the stereotype of, like, the cool kid and the jock and the cheerleader is actually not the cool kid anymore, and the new stereotype of, like, the nerds and the people who care about the environment and, like, the kids who were kind of excelling in life are now the new cool kids. That is kind of how I feel about the men that go to AfroTech. Stick with me, ladies. It is an environment in which there are a lot of men who didn't necessarily have, what's the nice word that I can use? A lot of pull in an earlier part in their life, and now they kind of have a little bit of leverage or a glow up, if you will. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but the thing is, when sometimes those things happen to you later in life, it kind of becomes like a clout disease, and they take these associations with these certain companies or these certain salaries to their head. And I can speak for myself as someone who has worked at all of these companies and has been in association with all of these men since 2015.
So it sounds like you're about to try to blame men for being prideful when they actually get a little something. But I don't think I've heard that women, these modern women, were prideful before, even before that man got to the point. Oh, I'm out of your league. I'm too good for you. You think that you can be with me? This is what men run into. And then when they get up and then they start flexing on you, then you want to get mad. That's what it sounds like to me. But go ahead. I could be wrong.
They tend to downplay the women, especially Black women, who are their peers, and they don't want to date us because they think that they're up now. They have all the options in the world, and optionality is also a disease. So I really want to say this, and I really mean this in a nice way, for the girls who are going, be careful, because a lot of these men, I don't think that they're necessarily in a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband stage of life, especially if they recently started working in these environments. It's going to take some time for them to get that out of their system. That's my word of advice.
So it's going to take some time to get this out of their system in terms of not taking women seriously.
I got some things to say, but I'm going to let JR cook real quick.
Especially Black women or Black women that are in tech. Now, she said some things which I found very important, right? Because I've covered this topic on several videos in the past about the guys who were nerds in high school, the guys who talk like her, the male version of her, the guys who talk nasally, high pitched, if you will. And Black women, for the most part, they don't find these guys interesting, or they find them corny, very corny and unattractive, right? Because they don't have swag. They don't have that. They're not hip and they talk proper. As they say, you're talking white. It's not attractive. And I've heard women say that. But as you said, you're going to this Afro Expo, or this AfroTech Expo, if you will, and you're going to find a husband or a man, especially if you're not already in the tech field, a lot of these guys that are doing well for themselves, baby, you have to do more than just show up. You have to show interest. And if you're not in the tech field and you trying to pretend to show interest, like a lot of these guys, they can see it that, yo, you're not really interested in. And besides that, you find that I'm corny, or you always thought that I was corny. So you come in here looking for a husband or looking for us to lock you down, and that's not the case. A lot of women feel like they just don't have to do work. And I'm not speaking specifically about black women, but in this case, I feel like I have to, because it's just like, hey, I'm here. I said hello. You should give me the time of day because, hey, I'm a black woman. You're a black man. You're successful. You're a sellout if you talk to anybody else except for me. Even though you may not be welcoming, you may not be warm, you may not show interest in anything that this man is doing, but you're in his playground wanting him to show interest to you. Not so, not how it works. A lot of things, especially rejection with some people, that sticks with a lot of people. And you can say it's petty and JR, well, that's not taking the individualistic approach. You're putting us all under the same umbrella in terms of black women. You got to show me, baby, why I need to give up everything or why I need to focus completely on you and make you my wife. And if you're not helping me in any way, shape, or form, other than thinking that you can throw some buns on me every now and then, what are we doing here? Really, what are we doing here? And I'm sorry to hear what she's talking about, baby, but not everybody's going to choose you. If you're looking for a black man at this expo to wife you up, not everybody's going to choose you. It's reversed. Like, women, as I said before, tend to not have a scarcity mindset. If you're somewhat attractive, you're going to have dudes trying to talk to you, dudes trying to get at you. Now, let's say that flips in terms of the man who has his pick of the litter, if you will, for definitely lack of a better term, but he can choose, he can kind of get whatever woman he wants, especially if he's of a certain level in the tech world, or he's established himself, he's worked on it, he's worked on his confidence. A lot of times you guys don't see the work that goes on behind the scenes about someone, as far as social anxiety, being rejected, being confident, being able to show up, being able to engage. For some people, it's natural, but for some people, they really have to work on that for years. There's some trauma that they carry on into adulthood, and they've had bad experiences, and a lot of times those bad experiences shape their views on how they see people now. It's unfortunate, but again, we're all human, and regardless, we are going to look at things and people based off of our past experiences a lot. And that's just the way it is. So if a man's not into you, you have your preference, he has his preference. Nobody's going to hate you or say these things about you because you have a preference. That's just how it is. A preference is a preference. So anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think about this video here. What do you guys think about this? Are you one of those guys that was growing up that the sisters never showed you love? They basically thought you were corny. You weren't a jock. You weren't in the in crowd because you weren't gangster, thuggish, things like that. But as you gotten older, she wants to settle for you. Let me know. Comment below.
Settle is crazy. I got a few points because I've had people call me that. People tell me that, oh, you sound white, or you talk this way, you don't talk black. And a lot of those people today, they struggling. They not doing what they're supposed to be doing. They out there just floating in the wind because you didn't said something silly, because you associated yourself and your way of life, your lifestyle with some type of accent or speech or a certain way of doing things. And it turned out the certain way that you did things didn't lead you to a level of success, unfortunately for you. And a lot of times when you go around people like that, they still living in the past. High school was their glory days. Middle school, in some instances, was their glory days. They had their little pop or little buzz in middle school, and then they get to high school, and really honestly and truly, by the time they get to be a a junior or a senior is kind of fizzling out, but they keep it going long enough to get out of school. But then once you get out of high school, that's a game changer. All that other stuff that you was doing in high school, that's going to go out the window because people don't have time for it. Yeah, you try to get together and you try to reconnect, and that's how relationships form. Oh, I remember how it was, and we were under the thumb of the teachers or the coaches, and now we can be free to love each other and whatever it is, however you want to do it. Great, fine. More power to you. But they call you corny. But then when you go, as some people call it, monk mode, and you turn up at a reunion or they see you on Facebook or whatever and whatnot. Oh man, I didn't know you was doing it like that, man. Oh man, you really out here. Whoa, man, this is crazy. Let's link up. No, we're not going to link up. Too busy for that. I've been too busy, like he said, dealing with some of the things that I felt insecure about myself, things that I was like, man, what's wrong with me? What's happening? Like, am I really that way? Am I really not good enough to be in this friend circle? People have to deal with that. High school sometimes and middle school sometimes is very brutal. They say that kids say the darndest things. Well, these kids grow up to be teenagers and adults, and they continue to say the darndest things. Sometimes the darndest things are the rudest things. Sometimes the rudest things are the most hurtful, cutting, slashing things. And they say them and they giggle and they laugh and they go about their business. And the person they left behind is left to pick up those pieces, is left to heal. Sticks and stones are out here, in some instances, breaking people's bones, hurting them, cutting them. And they go into deep stages of mental health issues, having to spend money to get out of those problems, those issues, or at least get to a point to where I can fight through this every day. And when I hear something that's triggering me, I can fight through that and I can be a better person. And this is what men have to go through. A vast majority, a lot of men have to go through, because that's how society says you earn your marks. That's how society says you gain your value. It's not by being cute or looking good. Those are for the few select guys over there. Those are for the Chads and Tyrones. But for the vast majority of you guys, you're going to have to work, and you're going to have to work hard. You're going to have to work long hours. You're going to have to work day in, day out. When people sleep, when people clubbing, when people going out to the movies, you at home working. You on the job site working. You in the gym working. Outside, mowing the lawn, listening to podcasts on how to get better. Listening to books on how to get better. Doing different things, riding in your car on the way to the grocery store on how to get better. And then when you get to something like AfroTech, now you can stun a little bit because you got the job. You can feel good a little bit because you got the job. And let me tell you, that's what these modern women are going to do. They're going to get the job and they're going to start stunning on everybody. See, I got this job and I'm big and bad and I'm this and I'm that and you got to respect me now. That's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to do. And they're going to disrespect men on their way up. But what happens is when the man is on the same level and gets the upper hand, then they pipe down a little bit because they know they can't talk that nonsense to that man. And the woman made a point. She said, I want to warn you guys when you go there. And I've heard this before, too, from somebody else. When you go there, don't go there looking for a serious relationship, because a lot of these men are just looking to hit it and quit it. Well, your warning is going to fall on deaf ears, sis, because these women are going to misbehave. They're not going to find a genuine connection. They're not going to find a husband. They're going to find a rich black man with money so they can be the subject of the next Tyler Perry movie. So they can find at some point in time that their life is going to be on BET somewhere, BET Plus, and they get a cut of it. They trying to get to one of those Real Housewives of whatever show, or Ballers Wives, or NBA Wives, NFL Wives, or whatever it is. They're trying to get to that status, and they'll tell you in no uncertain terms, this is where I'm trying to get to. And this is what the men have to contend with. So if you go there looking to misbehave, guess what you're going to find? people that are ready to misbehave. The men that are ready to misbehave. I'm sure there are some good men there. I'm sure there are some companies there looking to connect and you build your career, but these types of women ain't going for that. They're not interested in networking for the sake of getting a better opportunity somewhere and building empowering women. They're there to empower their lives and their bodies with another man inside them. They're there to rack up a body count and then turn around in 4 or 5 years and say, I'm ready to be a wife. Come wife me, to a high value man, as they would call it, to a man with a lot of money. That's what they're there for. So no, ma'am, we're not interested in the advice that you have to give. They're not, and men are not, because men are going to be on the prowl looking for foolishness, and they're going to stay far, far away from it. So you're not even going to find them, because they're going to be off to the side watching y'all get played by the Chads and the Tyrones. And y'all going to go over there, get your back blew out, have fun, go home, crying on the plane. Oh man, I had so much fun, but I didn't find that connection. Exactly. And ain't nobody gonna feel sorry for you because you put yourself in that position, in that predicament, when men told you to go sit your silly behind down somewhere, and that wouldn't have happened to you. Period. But that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. Until the next video, I'm out.